really delighted to be joined by Charlene Flanagan, professional makeup artist and the co-creator and co-founder of Ella and Joe Cosmetics. Charlene, thanks so much for being a part of Shine.
Thank you so much for asking me. I'm absolutely honoured. So I'm really excited now to have this lovely interview with yourself.
When I found out I was going to be speaking to you, obviously just doing my little bit of research and finding out more about you. And on your website, you say that you're a positive, happy-go-lucky spirit, which is a great thing to be able to describe yourself at. But I'm wondering, is that something that you find comes naturally to you, or do you have to work at it?
So I think positive and happy-go-lucky is definitely a behavioural trait in myself that I think has always been with me. But I think it comes from my family. My parents are very positive, very happy-go-lucky. Nothing phases them. You know, we're not one of those kind of stressy outy kind of houses. So it definitely stems from my parents and my overall family. In terms of, is it something that I have to work on? Positivity, probably yes, in a sense. Like, it is something that you constantly have to work on every day. I think for me, throughout the years, like, I'm 31 years old now, like, just to put it into context. But I feel like it's the people I surround myself with as well that have an awful lot to do with me being that positive, happy-go-lucky person, that they're equally like that as well, and they bring out the best in me. So I suppose, yeah, it's something that you have to work on. Like, there have been people in my life that relationships I've had to walk away from because, you know, it wasn't serving me well, or both parties. And so, yeah, I think the people I'm around constantly allow me to be that person every day. So, yeah, it's probably something that you do have to work on consciously now. I don't really work on it because the people that are around me are amazing. But yeah, that's a really lovely thing for you to even say back to me, to describe me as. But yeah, I would describe myself as that for sure.
It's a great thing to be able to say that, yeah, you're surrounded by people who are, what do they call them? The radiators, I suppose, giving warmth into your life and giving that bit of positive energy. You are mainly a beauty and bridal makeup artist. And obviously then, as I mentioned, the co-founder of Ella and Joe Cosmetics. To look purely at the makeup side of it, what would you say a well-applied face of makeup does for someone, or how does it benefit them?
So a well-applied face of makeup. So I'm one of these people that when somebody asks me a question, I go about 8 steps back from the answer that they probably wanted, in a sense that they nearly wish they didn't ask me the question sometimes. But a well-applied face of makeup comes down to 2 things when it comes to discovering yourself. It's all about really working on yourself from the inside out, before you even think about putting that brush near your face. Number 1, you have to sit down and look at your features. There's no point fighting against them. You almost have to work with them. And it's sitting down, looking at your face shape, your eye shape, and kind of feeling, you know, getting around the face and seeing what works for you. And then on the second side, it's what's your preferences. Like, do you really like false eyelashes? Do you really like a full coverage foundation? Do you really like bronzer, or would you just prefer to wear blush? There's a lot of kind of structure and rules when it comes to, you know, makeup being well applied, or like perceptions of like how everyone should wear makeup, and it's different for everybody. But I truly think it comes down to that self-discovery of sitting down and actually going, right, what eye shape have I got? Realistically, if I look at, you know, Charlene has quite a large shaped eye. I have a hooded shaped eye. Yes, you know, she applies her makeup in her certain way, you know, but, you know, my makeup isn't going to apply that way. My preference is Charlene loves to apply blusher. I don't like blusher, you know, so it's about just all the little pieces of the jigsaw. And that, to me, when you figure those things out and you really know what it is that works with your face structure, your eye structure, and what your personal preferences are, that to me is a well-applied face of makeup, because it's different for everybody. Yeah, so as I said, you probably regretted that you even asked me that question.
Not at all, because you actually kind of covered one of the things I was hoping to ask, where you mentioned working with your features. And I think that, in my opinion, is probably quite an important message to get out to girls and young women in particular, that makeup isn't something that they should be using to hide. It's about accentuating.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It's something that I constantly am talking about and educating people through. It's all about the education of yourself and what you love, because then you truly are like the best version of yourself. And instead of structurally trying to change what's there, I always just say, like, work what your mama gave you. You know, it's like you can still have a fantastic full face of makeup. It's just making sure that the eyelashes maybe that you're applying suit your eye shape. You know, don't buy the ones that your best pal has. She might have a completely different eye shape to you and they look fantastic on her. That doesn't serve any good, because you're always going to be lacking in that confidence, because you're going to be looking at yourself going, but I don't look like that. And that just doesn't sit well with me as a person. You know, I'm like, no, figure out what does work for you, and you can shine bright yourself as well as what your best pal does as well. So it's just really sitting down and figuring out your own face and your own preferences.
And the whole thing as well about taking the practice, educating yourself and figuring out what works. I think, and I might delve this or relate this back a little bit more to the skincare side of things, because I feel just from my own social media and noticing there has really been an explosion in the last few years in people who are genuinely interested in skincare. What you might notice about it is just the overwhelming number of products that are out there and so many different skin types and figuring out. So could I ask you to simplify it for us a little bit in terms of the basics that you need to know?
Yeah, absolutely. I love this. So first thing that you need to figure out and understand is what your skin type is. And there's 4 main skin types that you can be one of. So you'll either be normal skin type, a dry skin type, an oily skin type, or you'll be a combination. And a combination skin type is a combination of 2 of the other 3. So you might be normal to oily, normal to dry. And it's really important that you know what that baseline is. That's your skin type that you have for life. On top of that, then, are skin conditions. So skin conditions are things like dehydration in the skin, which can often be mistaken for dry skin. Then there's also acne, there's sensitivity, there's redness in the skin, there's pigmentation, blemishes. There's lots of skin conditions on top of that. So what I would often find people coming back saying is, oh, I'm normally an oily skin type, but, in the winter months, I'm really dry. And then they go off down to their local pharmacy and they go buying the richest moisturizer that they can get because they're trying to relieve themselves of the dryness. They actually have an oily skin type, and what they're doing is they're putting more oils that are designed for the drier skin type onto their skin. Their skin ends up breaking out, and it's all one big vicious circle. So it's all about the education and knowing exactly what skin type you are, and then knowing what skin conditions you are prone to. And skin conditions can come up and down throughout the year. So you might be more dehydrated in the winter time, and then in the summertime you have more pigmentation because the sun is out and you're not wearing your SPF, and there's lots of different factors. So education for me is absolute key. So definitely, even from a very young age, I think something I try to instill, because my demographic of people who I speak to on social media would be the women in her early 30s, leading upwards. So I'm constantly trying to say to those women, if they have teenage daughters, I'm like, talk to them and educate them. Don't be, like, skincare has come so far, as you just mentioned there, Fionnuala, that things are advanced and changing so much more. It's not the same as back in the day where our grannies just stuck the Pond's cream on their face, and that's sometimes what those old wives' tales and those old kind of conceptions kind of come down through the filter. So for me, definitely go and have a skin consultation done with the best of the best skin experts. Find out who is brilliant at what they do in your local town, or you can even do online skin consultations at the moment. And it's never too young. A lot of mums come back to me and say, when is young too young? Never too young to get into the good habit of looking after your skin. But for me, it's cleansing, a serum, and an SPF. They're my 3 core, like double cleanse every morning and double cleanse every evening. That's 2 cleanses. The first cleanse is there to cleanse off your makeup, cleanse off impurities, maybe like oil or SPF or pollution that is sitting on the skin. The second cleanse is the one that actually cleans your skin then. So it's a double cleanse for your skin. In terms of a serum, I would say every single person needs a hydrating serum. So you'd be looking for a serum that has ingredients like hyaluronic acid in there. Because no matter if you're oily or if you're dry, everyone can be prone to dehydration in their skin. And dehydration is the cause of so many skin issues, like you wouldn't believe. It can be the cause of blemishes, It can be the cause of premature aging in the skin. It can be the cause of dullness, tiredness looking in the skin. And then your SPF every single day is so, so important. You might as well just flush all your skincare down the toilet if you're not wearing an SPF every single day, because even in the winter time, UV rays are still there. You need to protect your skin, and starting that SPF journey really, really young, and just getting into that daily habit. And definitely when it comes to skincare and makeup, they go hand in hand. Like, the more you look after your skin, the better your makeup is going to look, and the less makeup you feel like you have to wear as well. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Certainly. And yeah, as you said, you're not going down the route of slapping on a load of makeup because you feel, okay, there's flaky skin I have to hide or blemished skin. And yeah, it starts from the inside out, as you said a little bit earlier on. I might look now at your business experience, the business side of things, because I'm imagining the interest in the beauty and skincare comes naturally to you. But then when you have to look at it from a business point of view, can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so there is obviously two sides to the makeup industry. There's the amazing, as long as you love your job and you love what it is that you do, which I do. I'm a very people person. I love interacting with people. I love bringing out the best of a woman or a girl's features. I love that moment when they look in the mirror and they just feel magnificent. There's all the lovely fun side of it, and getting to play with makeup every single day. Like, that's just the dream job for me. It always was. I always loved makeup from a really young age. But from a business point of view, I think it's really important to point out that, you know, there's a lot more hats that you have to wear than just the standing doing people's makeup. You know, there's the finance side of it, making sure that, you know, your finances are in line. There's the marketing side of it, like how you sell yourself, how you get yourself out there. There's the networking side, there's all that side. So there's so many different hats, you know, to wear when it comes to owning and having your own business. Some of the bits aren't so fun, like the submitting your taxes every year is not the bit that I kind of ever wanted to do. And, you know, so it's about kind of going into it knowing that you have to be on your own journey. Like, if you do want to go into business and you want to go in, just have a slight expectation there. Find your area within makeup or beauty or skincare, and just know that area inside out and upside down. So for me, the part about the business that I love, number one, is the bridal. I love working with wedding mornings and working with brides, but it's education for me. It's those simplifying makeup and keeping makeup really, really simple, so that everybody and anybody can achieve it. And that to me is always what my core is about everything that I put out there, you know, on social media, or even when I'm standing doing somebody's makeup. It's knowledge is power. So when I'm even standing doing somebody's makeup, I'm not standing chit-chatting about the weather. Well, sometimes you can get into the personal stuff, but I'm educating the person in my chair, saying, you have a combination of skin types, do you have an oily T-zone, do you use a primer, you know, do you use a powder? You know, I'm really trying to figure out so that when they leave the chair, they kind of have a little bit more knowledge about themselves, you know, and kind of like what it is maybe that they need to do. When it comes to social media, what is my purpose on social media? So everything that I put out there onto my social media platform is always, what is the person reading this going to get out of it? And that's just always what my core has been. It's not just a case of me firing up a makeup and being like, here you go, girls, this is how fabulous I look today. It's never about that. There's always an education element to it. So if you do want to get into the beauty and the skincare side of a business, it's such a fantastic and wonderful business to be in. Just be prepared that you're constantly learning in this business as well. You know, the techniques, the skill, even the research is constantly changing. So while it may look like it's all glamorous and kind of, oh my God, look at all the beautiful makeup, the standing on your feet for 14 hours a day some days isn't the glamorous side that you don't see, you know, and the living off tea and coffee kind of all day. And so yeah, it's just, I think if you want to get into the business, probably one of the best ways that I could tell you is sit down with a makeup artist that is in the trade and ask all the questions. Maybe see if you could even shadow that makeup artist for a day if their client, like, I know at the moment with COVID, that's obviously not a given, but for sure, like, getting to actually sit and kind of shadow, and almost like a mentoring kind of a thing, where you just sit and you research and you look into it to really truly make sure that it would be a career that you wanted to go down. So
that's such a comprehensive answer, because I think, yeah, it's when you're deciding, maybe as many of people watching this might be, about what their path might be after school, or, you know, maybe they're in college and they're seeing what might be for them down the line. You mentioned it, the process of kind of constant learning. Like, it's not like you 5 years ago, or whenever it was, said, okay, I learned to apply eyeshadow, I now know everything about applying eyeshadow. Like, techniques
It
do
wasn't
change
like that at
as well.
all. It wasn't like that at all. Like, you go in and you do the 6 month or the year-long course, and yes, you pick up a certain amount of skills, but it is all self-learning. I would say, yes, I have my diploma and I have my accreditation, but it was down to the hundreds and the thousands of faces that I worked on, that my skill, and I'm still developing in my skill level. I still attend, you know, courses. I do online courses. I'm forever practicing on myself. Anybody's face that I could get to practice on. It really is one of those, I call makeup a learnable skill. Yes, there are some people that it will just come naturally to them, and they can pick up that blender brush and they can just blend an eyeshadow like to beat the band. But it's a learnable skill that, like, with persistent and consistency with it, you can definitely become an absolutely incredible makeup artist. But you're so right in what you say. It's not a case of, tick, I'm going to go do a 6 month course and then all of a sudden I'm going to have, you know, all this business coming in. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. And there is a bit of hard graft that you need to do, but it's really worth it, because you constantly are learning something about yourself. And, like, even going back to me having those conversations with clients, that's how I learn. I ask my clients, what foundation do you use now? And do you like it? So that when somebody comes to me with like an opposite skin type to me, you know, I listen to what my customers or my clients are saying. So I can say, well, do you know what? I don't have acne prone skin, but I've heard numerous times that there's this foundation that really suits, and loads of women absolutely love it. And it's that education that gives you the power. And that's what people ultimately want. They want that education side of it.
Charlene, your passion for makeup, beauty and skincare is really, really clear. It's been such a joy to hear what you have to say, and definitely inspiring me to take a much better care than I do currently of my skin, and get a little bit more interested in the makeup side of it. I might just ask you now, Charlene, if you were to, what would you love to say to your 14-year-old self?
Okay. What would I love to say to my 14-year-old self? There's a quote that I constantly still live by. It's, you could be the juiciest, ripest peach in the world, and there will still be somebody that doesn't like peaches. Just always be so unapologetically yourself. And it doesn't matter if other people don't like you, as long as you like you. That's what I would tell myself.
That is a perfectly succinct way to describe it. I love that quote. I may rob it in the future. I will credit you, I promise. Charlene Flanagan, professional makeup artist and co-founder of Ella and Joe Cosmetics. Thank you so much for chatting to me today.
Thank you for your time, Fionnuala. I really appreciate it.